like ancient trees. Blood of kings flows in our seas. Stories told through time and pain. We rise again, we break the chain.
This is the Global Black Excellence Podcast. My name is Dr. Tamsam Ngangube, and this is the Global Black Excellence Podcast. Born in Zimbabwe and having lived and studied across Africa, Australia, the Middle East, the Caribbean, and America, I've seen firsthand that Black excellence is global. This podcast brings that energy together, celebrating hidden giants, elevating our stories, and empowering a movement of pride, visibility, and unstoppable Black brilliance. So join me as I sit down with extraordinary change makers, redefining success across every field, from business, leadership, creativity, community impact, education,
Today we are
and
joined
innovation.
by a brilliant guest, Dr. Bismark Amankwa Kereme. Dr. Bismark is a data scientist with a strong background in minerals resources. He holds a PhD in minerals and resources from the University of South Australia in Adelaide, and a BSc Honours in Minerals Engineering from the University of Mines and Technology in Tarkwa, Ghana. He currently works for the largest lithium mine in the world, here in Australia, as a production data scientist, where he applies machine learning and optimization techniques to develop predictive models that support metallurgists and operations team in making informed production decisions. His experience spans in advanced analytics, machine learning application, environmental modeling, and practical problem solving within complex processing environments. Bismark is passionate about community service and volunteers with St. John's Ambulance in his free time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Nkube, for having me. It's really an honor to be on the show. I've been looking forward to this, and finally today it has happened. So I'm really, really privileged to be here.
No, thank you very much, and such an inspiring profile that you have there. So, Dr. Bismark, we would like to understand a bit about your background and how you grew up. Can you tell us where you grew up?
Dr. Bismark Amankwa Kereme is a simple guy from Ghana. I grew up in a town called Domahinkro, which is in the Bono region of Ghana. So I grew up in a community where every kid belongs to everyone, and you could be corrected by everyone. And I must say, I grew up in a community where there was a bit of gossip among the women, where women would normally make reference to their kids and how their kids were performing in terms of academics and in terms of life. So yeah, every parent was really pushing very hard for their kids to become good examples, not the bad one in the community.
Yeah.
So that's just a bit of information about where I grew up.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So you grew up in an environment where you were actually being cultivated for success, and there was a bit of competition within family members.
Exactly.
That's great. What kind of a student or a child were you when you were growing up?
Growing up, I would say I was a bit of a problem child because I was very curious to know what was happening in my environment, very curious to know how things worked. So that always led me into trouble because I would borrow things from my friends, a toy or a gun or anything, like a toy gun, and I would try to open it up to know the exact mechanism of that toy or whatever thing that I borrowed from them. I was always curious to understand how things operated. And I remember my mom told me that I used to ask her questions that scared her, because you'll be with your mom in the farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you start asking about who created us, why are we here, how do these trees bear their food, like a whole lot of curious questions I was asking as a kid. So I was a curious kid.
You're a curious kid, so you will think that curiosity probably is the one which made you go think about engineering. At that particular time, what were you thinking in terms of your future? Did you have any dreams growing up?
Yeah, I had a lot of dreams, and the good thing is that I always live in that I would say unrealistic world of mine where I could imagine everything that I could possibly be. Sometimes imagine being like flying a human being where I could go into buildings and rescue people. So it was more of a dream to become a doctor as a kid, but I didn't know the type of doctor that I would be, whether academic doctor or whatever. But yeah, I got to like grade 3 or 4, and I realized I couldn't really deal with the trauma, blood, and everything. But I also realized that I was very good with mathematics and calculation stuff. So that to me spoke to me that it's better for me to switch to engineering,
Okay.
where I don't have to do with the blood and the mess and everything, but more like curiosity building stuff, more like brain power. So I think that was where the whole journey started.
Yeah, so tell me about that time when you decided to go into engineering at the university in Tarkwa.
So from high school, I think I got exposed to the idea of joining engineering, Tarkwa University of Mines, from my chemistry teacher, because he was an old student from Tarkwa as a mining engineer. So when we go to final year, that was the time colleagues and friends will be talking about the uni that they want to attend.
Yeah.
And as at then, I had not really settled on anything. I think I was mostly talking about becoming a geomatics engineer, and it's not like I had like credible information or data to support that. Only that I heard somebody talking about geomatics engineering.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it sounds nice. I didn't know what they actually did.
Yeah.
It sounds nice, and that was the idea. But I got exposed to my chemistry master, who started explaining to me how the mining sector is going to take over the country, because we have a lot of resources in Ghana, and how if I should go to the University of Mines, it will position me in that lane where I will be able to capture the opportunities and everything that I've been dreaming of. So yeah, he actually tuned my mindset to the mining sector of engineering.
So how important then it is to have sort of mentors and career guidance during that time, and how do you think the lack of or having that mentorship influenced where you are at the moment as we talk?
I think having mentors in this life is very key, especially when it comes to somebody who is career driven. Because honestly, had it not been that my chemistry master,
Yeah.
I don't think I will be here talking to you today. I would probably be doing something else. So he was able to explain to me, he was able to show me, and even as at the time we were finishing high school, he also left the school because he had a job offer with Newmont, Ghana.
Okay.
And he showed me his salary and the expected salary that he was going to take and everything, which was more like the fuel to even do it more, because I saw that was actually going to even pay more than a medical doctor that I wanted to be. So having somebody to mentor you, having somebody to guide you is very, very important. They help you to put you on the right track, and they can assist you in any point in the journey. So
That's quite powerful, because if someone does show you up to the level of showing you the salary, it sort of gives you that practicality of the career,
Exactly.
rather than just talking and that I think becomes an inspiration and pushes you even hard, and you start budgeting probably and say what can I do?
Definitely. You
What
start
can I
looking
do
at
with
your
all
dream
this
cars, the toy cars that you're
Yes.
playing with, and how you can actually materialize that into reality. So he played an instrumental role when it comes to choosing a career for myself.
That's
I really
quite-
appreciate him.
Oh, good. So when now you're in, let's look at you when you're in Tarkwa University. In the university in Tarkwa, University of Mines in Tarkwa. How was your performance as a student?
I think I was doing very well for myself, because the motivation was that when we went to Tarkwa first year, I think that was in 2012, we saw some fresh graduates from Australia. So they were sponsored by the unit to come to Australia to do their PhD. and then come back and help the uni, right? So they did an orientation for us, and we were told that these 10 guys were taken to Australia because of their academic performance, and then they are now back to help the uni and teach in the department. So that triggers something in my mind. So I'm like, okay, it means that all the nice places that I've been seeing in movies and everything can actually be realized, because if I really put in the effort and I'm able to make it to Australia, then eventually my dream will come true.
Yeah.
So that was a drive, and I gave it all out, going to the library every day, making sure I was making the grades, and there was a target, and the target was to make first class in each semester's exams. So you go to the examination room with a target of scoring at least 90% of making a 90% score. And if things don't go as planned, you get like 80, which is fine. And sometimes I'm very weak on learning languages. So languages like French courses and other stuff, if you don't make 18, you make like 70 or 60. That's fine. And then you keep pushing the engineering subject. So that was a drive, just to push so hard that in case they are to select people for Australia, you'll be selected.
Yeah.
So that was the goal.
So during that period, what criteria were they using to select people to come to Australia and do a PhD?
For the records, it's more like you should at least have a first class, and I think they were selecting top 2 or top 3, depending on the slots that will be available. But at least if they are taking one person, then to be the top person in the class, I mean the person who has the highest score in the class, and that highest score should be first class, 80 or more, right? So if you're lucky in that particular year they are taking 3 people, it will be the top 3 people, unless somebody had a higher score but they are just not interested in academia and they will decide to go to the industry, then they will look at the next available person, right? But during my time, I remember when I this professor who is currently in Adelaide, his name is Professor Jonas Ademensa. He came to do I don't know whether to say recruitment or scouting for potential students. And then when he came, he was like, I think you will normally get the class list and get the CW and whatever, the records and scores, and know that these are the top 3. Then he will do like a one-on-one interview.
Yeah.
That's more like a preliminary thing that he will do before he gets his students, and after that doesn't end it. If you are selected, then you have to come and compete in Australia as well with students from around the world. It's not the end of it. It's not like you are selected in Ghana, it means that we automatically have it. It's a scholarship slot.
Yeah.
So when you come here, you have students from China, India, all over the place. Then if you're able to compete against them and you are selected, then you make it to Australia.
So can I safely say during your time you were top 2 student in
2016 for 2016 batch, I was the second best student.
You're the second best student.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. But like you're saying, that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a straight ticket to go to Australia. They pick the 2 best students, and then they have to pick them against students globally.
Yes.
To be able to pick the best student that gets admitted in the University of South Australia.
Yes. So it's not automatic. And even during my time, what actually happened was that the guy who topped our class had a scholarship right after our national service, which is you have to serve the country for a year for the investment and everything that the government has done for you. Yeah. So right after that, he had a scholarship. So I was the next person in line. So when the opportunity came, I was selected, and there were other people from the previous batches, because it depends on funding and availability of slots in Australia. So for some particular years, there wouldn't be funding, and if you're lucky, the following year there will be like slots for 3 people. And when that happens, remember, it's not just going to be your year batch, but maybe previous year's batches as well. So during my time, I think the slots that came in were 3. So my year batch, and a batch that was after me, and a batch that was before me. So 3 people.
So 3 batches, 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years of
fighting for very few slots. How many slots were there?
There were 3. So
3
slots to be selected, and that wouldn't be the end. You come to Australia and also compete as well. So So what happens is that some are able to get like funding from the uni itself. Some are able to get funding from mining companies. Some are like depending on where the source is coming from, the source of funding is coming from. So it's not like an automatic thing. You have to put in the effort. And I can tell you on authority that anybody who will be selected to come and compete, they will make sure that you are globally competitive before they bring you out here.
So tell me, what do you think were the critical factors for you to be selected in such a rigorous kind of competition? What are the things that in your mind you think could have made you sort of make the cut for that selection?
I would say I'm a Christian, so I would say first of all it's God. But apart from that, I think the first impression really counts. So when you have the opportunity to, when I had the opportunity to interact with Professor Jonas Ademensa, that spoke a lot. You know, you have to tell him the potential things that you can do. You have to tell him what you have in you and how determined you are. You may have people who have like very high scores and everything, but they are not emotionally there. You have to be emotionally strong to do a PhD. I would say your emotional intelligence our emotional strength is very, very key when it comes to becoming a successful PhD graduate or whatever. Because sometimes things may not work. Sometimes you feel like giving up. Sometimes you feel like you don't even fit in there. But if you don't have that strong mentality, if you're not emotionally or mentally strong, then you will fold. So that's how come he has to do that one-on-one quick interview with you to know how strong you are emotionally. So, because remember, the funding is coming from people and they expect results at the end of the day. They expect a thesis at the end of the day. So you have to be there. So I just believe that magical moment was when I had the opportunity to have this one-on-one interaction with the professor. That was when I was able to, make it.
So academic excellence takes you there, takes you to the door. But it doesn't necessarily take you inside the house.
No.
So you have got things to do with attitude, things to do with character, things to do with the resilience,
your mentality,
persistence, things to do with can-do attitude. The dreams that you have. How does it fit in all of this program? And you think that other things which we can call qualitative things are the things that when you then combine with quantitative in terms of marks and stuff like that, you can make the top.
So it's very, very important. Your mentality and everything should be on top level. It's more like in Africa. Let me tell you this: the moment you get a scholarship, your mother is already in the church giving a testimony and everything. And you have a lot of people who are counting on you. You have a lot of people that you can't let down. Apart from you having that responsibility to make it for yourself, if you achieve whatever goal, it brings this kind of joy to your family as well, your mom, your dad, your siblings and everything. Like I told, there's a bit of competition in the community as well. So your mom has gone to the church to give a testimony that in 4 years' time, my son is going to be a doctor. So you have that at the back of your mind. You can't just give up. You can't just give up.
It's a community success. It's not personal. You carry the hopes of the community of the mother.
There are people who will be looking up to you, so you can't let them down. And I think that's what will keep you going. You can't just fold. No, it's not about yourself anymore. It's about that little boy in the community looking up to you. It's about that child in the community knowing that all hopes are not gone. This person has done it. This person is somebody that we used to play with, somebody that we used to play soccer with in this same community. Look at where he is. If he has done it, then I can do it. So if you are coming here with a different mentality, right? You are coming here with a different mentality and go like, no matter what people have done it, you can also do it.
So the mentality of success, the mentality of saying, you know what, my success is not my success.
No.
It's a village success. It's everyone's success.
It's a community
and
success.
If I fail, the community has failed. I let down that young boy who's looking up to me. I might have killed the dream of that young boy who might not vocalize it, but he's looking. and people in their mothers, their parents are saying, "Look at the son."
Yeah,
let's
they are
go."
making reference
They're
to
making
you.
reference to you.
So
So
you
if
can-
you come back as a failure,
Nah,
it really it's not a choice that
you don't have a
get
choice
up.
here.
You don't
I would
have a
say
choice.
you don't have a choice here. You can't be a boy from my own community and come here to Australia and go like, this thing is too difficult. I'm not getting results. I'm giving up. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen.
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting the fuel that takes an individual up, like you're saying, from a community perspective and all that. But then let's step to when you actually arrived in Australia. Tell me about that experience. Coming from Africa, was it the first time you were going overseas
Yeah, that
or out of Ghana?
That was the first time going out of Ghana. Even though I live in a community where it's just like 20 to 30 minutes drive to Ivory Coast, where people always go to Ivory Coast and come back within the same day.
Yeah.
But for me personally, that was my first time. It was actually my first time going to the airport because I always told myself the first time I'll go to the airport, it will be the day that I'll leave this country.
Yeah.
So even in school, when people were visiting the airport for excursions and every time, I'm like, no, I'm not going to the airport. If you see me going to the airport, then I'm not returning.
Yeah.
And coming to this country, it was more like a sudden shift.
Yeah.
If you look at the educational system back home, it's more like brain power, how you can memorize things. And even with the practical aspect, you don't have the necessary tools and apparatus and instrumentation and everything to do your job. But you come here, everything is at your disposal. And then the culture, the way things are done here, more practical, like it was a bit of cultural shock for me as well. Getting used to the food here. I eat a lot of spicy food. Yeah. And I remember when my colleagues picked me up from the airport, I was thinking that as a Ghanaian boy coming from my community, I was expecting some jollof rice that night.
Yeah.
This guy just went through a drive-thru and bought me beef burger. I'm like, what is this? I'm not used to this. You better take me home and get me my jollof rice. So these are some of the things that we had to adapt to, and more to do with how things are done. I was actually surprised to find out that in this country, when you are eating your food, you don't even invite people to come and join you. But back home, when you have your food, you have to invite whoever is around because probably they have not eaten for the whole day. You can't just eat your food and ignore them. So these are some of the things that were a bit of shock for me. And in terms of my PhD journey itself, I had to learn new softwares and new programming languages. I never got exposed to MATLAB or anything, but when I came here, I had to learn it within some few months, get it done so that I could do my confirmation of candidature or enrollment. So what happens is that if you come here, that's not the end. Even if you have succeeded competing globally to get that scholarship slot, that's not the end. You start the program, then after 6 months, you have to confirm your candidature. Yeah. You have to prove to the scholarship board, to the uni, that you can actually do this program based on the plan that you have in place. And I remember that day we went in there, did the presentation. Honestly, some of the things that you spoke about, they were not even realistic.
Yeah, yes.
But you had that dream.
Yeah.
Some of the things you didn't even understand them, You can go to uni for the whole week, for the whole fortnight, and what you are basically doing there is trying to understand one paper that somebody has written. Yeah. It was that tough, You're making references, doing your literature review. You don't understand, you don't fully understand. But I always say you don't need to fully understand the whole plan. Yeah. Just keep going.
It's the consistency.
Yes, consistency. You read a paper for 1 week, just one article, you read it for the whole week and you wouldn't understand anything. Yeah. Right? But it's a new environment. Like I said, you can't feel yourself, you can't feel your people, you can't feel your community. So,
it's a lot of steps.
Yes. So you just keep pushing.
And I'm very interested, when you said when in Africa you do a lot of theory.
Yes.
And there's no practical component, which
I
have also seen.
Is there, but it's just very limited.
It's very limited.
Yes.
But do you think, because one of my experience which I have seen is that most of the African students are very strong
in theory.
Yes.
And normally I see that most people, the most critical part is the theory component that people don't actually grasp very well.
Yes.
So that the practical component you can catch up much quicker
Yes.
than the theory.
It's more like hands-on.
It's more like hands-on. You can
Yep.
you can get used to it. But also on that, what comes into my mind when you're talking about that is that my experience also is that I have seen that African scholars or African graduates, especially those who haven't gone out there and gotten a practical component, they fail to realize their theory. They fail to apply their theory or create solutions. That's why you will see that we have got so many problems that we cannot solve, but we've got so many educated graduates,
Yeah.
because that translation between theory and practical is non-existent because it's not part of their formation.
Yes.
So it continues to exist as imaginary. Theory exists as imaginary. You sort of don't trust it.
Yeah.
Like if someone tells you that, okay, gravity is like this, you sort of don't trust that actually in real life that gravity exists. So how has been your experience, especially translating that theory to practical for yourself, and having to believe in the theory, that it is the theory that is the foundation of the practical, and the theory can be translated to practical? How has that been, has happened in your work in terms of that translation?
Let me put it this way. So in high school, I did matrices as part of my advanced mathematics program that I did. In uni, you do another advanced mathematics as an engineer, which also include matrices. So those days we're doing addition of matrices, subtraction, how to find the inverse, how to find whatever, all these calculations. Not knowing that the programming language that I will be using for my PhD is actually the building block is matrices. MATLAB is built on matrices. How you add two variables, how you divide them, whatever you are doing is dependent on matrices. So having that theoretical knowledge, having those high scores during my studies, it allows me to really understand the back end of what is happening with every script or code that I write. I understand it. I'm able to translate that. I put myself into that picture. I put myself into that time when I'm doing that calculation. I know how these things are done. And that for me is a direct translation from theory to practical. Yeah. This time around, if I need to calculate the inverse of a matrix or whatever, a vector or whatever, I don't need to use a pen and a calculator or whatever to do the calculation. I just write a language and it does it for me in the background. So you are able to really appreciate it more when you understand how you can translate or how that theory translates to practicality. And another example is when I first got on board to come here, how the plane took off.
Yeah,
we've studied thermodynamics, we've studied, so you need a lift, you need a truss, whatever. But these are theories that you learn in physics in school, right? But when you are on the plane and you see how the plane has to achieve some minimum speed in order to take off, and how you're able to suspend in air for like 8 hours. This is not magic, this is not witchcraft, this is pure physics at play. But in Africa, you'll be resolving fossils, you'll be doing that. But where is the practicality? How are we able to translate that knowledge into inventions, into things that can solve our problems as Africans? I knew about how combustible engines work, inlet stroke, combustion stroke, exhaust stroke, all these things. I knew them from us at high school. But tell me, I didn't even know where the engine block sits in the car.
Sitting in the car, yes. Which is a very big problem. I think it's a big problem, and I think that's why we are consumers. There are no products coming out of Africa just because the translation of it's not like the knowledge is not there.
It's there. I knew how to and I understood these things in high school physics. How 2-stroke engines, 4-stroke, whatever. But Tell me, was I able to translate it into anything? Nothing. Just write, get a score, and go to uni.
Yeah. It's all about those marks. It's all about
Yeah.
getting that 99.
Yeah.
99, but really 99 of what?
Of what?
Yeah, of what, yeah. And tell me, maybe continuing with your journey in Australia, why data science?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
So coming from the strong background of mineral processing, when I got here, I initially wanted to do that, but I'm like, what can I do that will set me apart? Because bear in mind, the rarer your skill set is, the easier it is for you to get a job.
Yeah.
Honestly, during my bachelor's, I wasn't the guy. Even if you go back home and ask during my national service, I'm not the guy who like to go to the lab and make myself dirty. I don't like that. So when I got here, I'm like, this is an interesting thing. All my colleagues are always in the lab, but I was working closely with BHP Olympic Dam. They were my sponsors. They have heaps of data sitting down.
Yeah.
Something that is real life situation, something that has been captured in real life application. Why can't I make use of that data? There's this emergence of machine learning, AI, and everything coming into place. Very soon in the future, that's the direction where the industry is going.
Yeah.
To. So why don't I shift my research in that direction? I already have the theoretical base. Why don't I find a way that I can apply that new emerging technology in my field and become a master of it? So that was a drive. And for me, it was also motivating because I don't have to go to the lab to make myself dirty.
Yeah.
I deal with real life data. So whatever results you get, translating it back into real life is very close because you are dealing with something that was captured from the field, not something that was captured in the lab under very controlled experiments or whatever. So yeah, the drive for me was to shift with technology.
Yeah.
Get that new technology applied in my field and go with that shift.
Yeah. So you saw a gap say you saw a gap.
Yes.
It's quite interesting because like you are saying, the mining industry and many other industries, manufacturing and stuff, they are moving towards data-driven decisions. And I think having that, background in mineral processing as a degree in mineral processing and coupling it with the data science, then, you have got the data science part and the domain knowledge part that then, you are able to see problems in a different way and solve a problem in a unique way. But tell me about the challenges that you face, like as an African student, the competitive landscape that you found yourself in, the expectations from professors, expectations from colleagues around, living in a multicultural environment where people have different value systems, and how did you face that?
Well, in terms of competition, I would say it's very competitive because you are working hand in hand with industry partners, people who have been doing this thing for years, people who know what they are really doing, not like you come in like as a fresh PhD student. So it was very competitive, but I saw an opportunity there to grow. You don't be afraid to ask if you don't understand things. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It happens, and I always say nobody has figured their life all out. No,
that's it.
Nobody has figured it all out. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to keep growing, and for people to have that high expectation, yes, because you're a PhD student, they expect at least some level of quality from you. You can't. I remember when I first started my PhD journey, you write an abstract and it comes back from your professor, and the whole thing seems like it has been rewritten again, and you feel like, oh, am I that bad? But that's how you grow. You don't give up. So eventually, I didn't see any problem with the quality of the stuff that I was writing. It was just with the writing style. People have their own writing style. So you have the same idea written in a more professional way. So it wasn't easy, especially when people have the wrong assumption about you. Coming from Africa,
Yeah.
you are nothing, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about it. It is actually shocking to find out that if you talk about Africa, some of the colleagues that I met during conferences, they only know of South Africa.
Yes.
And some people actually think that Africa is a country. So you are from Africa and that's it. So if you tell them that we actually have like 56 countries in Africa, they go like, really? I'm like, yeah, you have 56 countries in Africa or even more than that. And I'm from the western part of Africa, which is just a block, and the other block, southern part, northern part. So yeah, it was competitive, challenging, and we saw that opportunity to grow and not succumb to those pressures and those unrealistic assumptions that people had about us. We needed to prove ourselves.
Yeah. How do you overcome that stereotype, though?
It's all like the mentality I told you,
Yeah.
where I'm coming from. We don't fold, we don't give up easily. I always say, no matter how somebody will be rude to you in this modern day, modern life, excuse me to say, they can't tell you to go to the toilet and eat from there. So as long as you're not telling me to do that, I'm okay. Just develop that tough skin and keep pushing. That persistence. Water can even cut through rocks. If it keeps hitting at the same spot for years, you see a dent there. But the hardness of water is nothing compared to the rock. But if you are persistent, if water drops keep hitting the same spot on a rock, after years you will see a dent in the rock. So that was the mentality to keep pushing. You come from a community where we believe in hard work.
Yeah.
So put in the effort, put in those sleepless nights, and everything will start making sense.
No, amazing. I think it's inspiring to know that, when you are out there, you know that you are carrying the continent on your shoulders. It's not about you.
No.
It's about the continent.
Yes.
Whatever you do, it reflects
Your people.
on your people and
Yeah.
on the continent.
Yes.
And being able to to destroy those stereotypes, it starts with each and one, each of us. So each person has a responsibility to destroy the stereotype.
Yes, let it go.
And it doesn't, like you made an example around water, drop of water hitting the rock and forming a dent.
Yeah.
It's not just one drop.
No.
It's
It can be millions.
millions
but keep hitting the same spot.
But if you are hitting the same spot, we are consistent in messaging and we are moving forward in terms of, talking about ourselves, creating that brand, that black man, black woman, black child brand,
Yes.
and keeping consistent, which is what we are working to do in Black Excellence, Global Black Excellence podcast. So I want us to go into sort of what you generally think about, about Africa and what does Black Excellence mean for you?
Black excellence to me is more like that African kid, that African youth going out there to become globally competitive.
Yeah.
It's never going to be easy, but people have done it. You can also do it. So just go all out. You don't need to have it all figured out to become a global Black excellent guy. You have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
You keep releasing yourself in versions.
Yeah.
The version 1 can be nothing.
Yes.
But the version 2 will be better.
Yeah.
The version 3 will be better until you get there. So that's how for me it means.
And how do you think the African culture, as we know it, fosters innovation, creativity, and leadership? I think I can see that most of the things that have driven you are deep rooted in who you are, and are deep rooted in embracing and accepting who you are, and you have used that as a fuel to be where you are. So what do you think the culture, how does the culture made who you are in terms of impact?
No matter, I always say, no matter how long I live here, I will never forget my African values.
Yeah.
That sense of community.
Yeah.
It really helped a lot. Where you know that a burden is not just for you to bear alone.
Yeah.
You can reach out to other people, other colleagues, other Africans as well, who are happy to help. So it's more like that thing of believing in hard work.
Yeah.
That sense of community, that is what has been pushing me. That these are the African values that I rely on, and I don't forget to listen to my African music as well.
Yeah.
Because our traditional African music come with a lot of storytelling, a lot of motivation, a lot of messages. So I've been here for a number of years. I don't let go those values of respecting the elderly, those values of servicing people. These are the things that have been driving me all these years. And these are things that I hold on to, that I'm not ready to let them go anytime soon.
That's quite interesting. I think one of the things that I have heard, moving around, as we move around the globe, there are people who talk about accents. We don't want our children to learn, our local languages because they have an accent, So what advice do you have to those people who think that probably learning a language or practicing their own culture, it's backward?
You see, we can never stop being Africans.
Yeah.
This is who we are. Even if you give birth to kids in this country and you want to instill those African values in them, you can still do it.
Yeah.
They are Africans, they are your kids. It doesn't matter, even if they can't speak the language, but they understand it, you're able to have a second language that you can communicate with these kids in. And for me, it's okay for your kid to pick accent because of school and everything.
Yeah.
But a typical example I will cite is the late Kofi Annan, the former UN General Secretary.
Yeah.
He lived and spent most of his life abroad. But this man always had a Ghanaian accent. He never forced anything.
Yeah.
This thing of forcing accent, faking accent, doesn't really define who you are.
Yeah.
Stay true. As long as whatever you are saying, first of all, you have to bear in mind that English language is not your language.
Yeah.
So no matter how well you may try to speak it, that is not your mother tongue. The most important thing is your ability to communicate whatever thing you are saying to the other person. We should be proud of who we are. And I think accent actually originates from our mother tongue.
Yeah.
We've been speaking our mother tongue all these years. So if you come here, you don't have to force it. You don't have to fake it.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Kofi Annan was the UN General Secretary, and he always spoke with his African accent. And everybody understood him. Where people couldn't understand him, they had translators. So you can still do it. You have to be proud of who you are. You have to be proud of this skin color. This is who you are.
Yeah.
Don't try to bleach or just don't try to replace it. It can't happen.
Yeah. No, that's quite interesting. What message would you give to a boy or girl in the rural, deep in the rural areas where there's no electricity, with so much dreams, to go to the top?
For this one, I want to look into the camera and talk to that little young man or woman in the village. Don't let your current situation define your future. You have a bright future ahead of you. You just have to be hopeful. You just have to be curious, and you have to be hardworking. That's all that I'll say, because tables do turn. If you put in the effort, if you put in the hard work, trust me, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. So this current situation you find yourself in, this hunger situation that you find yourself in, they are only temporary. They could be gone by tomorrow. And it's actually toughening you up for what lies ahead of you. So don't give up. Don't let it define your future. Don't let it shape your future in any way. But rather, build resilience from that. Grow from that. And the sky will be your stepping stone, not the limit. It will be the starting point for you.
And to add that, I think keep on working. Keep on putting the hard work, keep on putting the effort. One day is one day. So finally, what legacy do you want your journey to leave behind? For Africa and the world?
That would be pretty simple. For me, the legacy that I want to leave behind is that young Ghanaian boy who came to Australia, had the opportunity to stand on global platforms, and never forgot his identity.
Yeah.
As an African, you don't have to forget who you are. You don't have to give up. So no matter where you find yourself, no matter the platform, no matter how big the platform is, your identity is your identity. You can never hide it.
True.
Keep that, and it will help you. That's the legacy that I want to leave.
It's amazing. Okay, today on Black Excellence in History, we celebrate a man called Louis Howard Latimer, the genius behind the modern light bulb. Born in 1848 in Chelsea, Massachusetts in the USA, to parents who had escaped slavery, Louis Howard Latimer rose from humble beginnings to become one of America's most influential blank inventor of the 19th century. After serving in the US Navy during the Civil War, Latimer began work as an office boy at a patent law firm, where he quickly taught himself technical drawing and rose to the firm's head draftsman. His skill with patent design led Alexander Graham Bell to hire him to draw the diagrams of the telephone patent, helping secure one of the most informative inventions in history. Latimer's greatest scientific contribution came with his improvements to the carbon filament used in Thomas Edison's light bulb. His innovation process made electric lighting longer lasting, safer, and more affordable, bringing light into homes and streets across the world. He also patented an air conditioning device, a safety elevator, and an improved toilet system for rail cars, showcasing his broad technical creativity. In 1890, he authored Incandescent Electric Lighting, one of the first books explaining how electric lighting worked, and later became the first African-American member of the Edison pioneers. He was inducted in the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2026. Louis Latimer didn't just help light the world, he illuminated the path of generations of black engineers and inventors. He died in 1928. Dr. Bismark, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Nkube, for having me.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and share our movement so that it reaches the world. We have a lot to say. We've got a lot of voices to spread around. Thank you. See you next time.
Yeah.